Hash asterisk 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 what lies beneath asterisk asterisk asterisk. Hash 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 chapter 1. The beginning of the end. I should have seen the signs. Looking back, they were everywhere. Subtle cracks in the foundation of a relationship I thought was unshakable. But love, that intoxicating blend of hope and vulnerability, blinds you. It cocoons you in delusion and whispers promises that everything will be okay so long as you keep believing, keep fighting. My name is Harper Drew. And until 6 months ago, I lived in a neatly packaged version of what most might envy. A stable relationship with a man I truly believed was my soulmate, along with a steady job at a boutique marketing firm. Life was comfortable, predictable, until I realized it wasn't. The signs started small. Seth, my boyfriend of 5 years, began working late, a lot. At first, I didn't question it. He was an architect, and clients could be demanding, asking for last-minute changes to designs that needed precision and care. But then came the secrecy. His phone, once casually left on the counter or nightstand, never left his side. He'd silence his notifications and turn the screen away from me. Texts arrived at odd hours, and he flinched every time they did. When I asked about it, he brushed me off with canned excuses. It's work stuff, Harp, or I'm just stressed. And the intimacy? It dwindled like a candle burning out, suffocating in its own wax. The warmth we once shared, the impromptu laughter and spontaneous kisses, had been reduced to obligatory exchanges. At first, I wondered if it was me. Was I doing something wrong? Had I become boring? Too predictable? I agonized over it, letting insecurity gnaw at me like a parasite. But deep down, I knew. I just didn't have the courage to admit it yet. Hash 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 chapter 2, Fractures. It wasn't until I stumbled on the receipt from the jewelry store that everything came crashing down. It was tucked inside his desk drawer at home, crumpled and half hidden beneath a stack of blueprints. Instantly, my heart leapt to conclusions I didn't dare voice. Seth and I weren't engaged yet, despite 5 long years together. I'd wondered if he was planning to propose. It wasn't entirely out of the realm of possibility. My pulse quickened as I smoothed the paper out, but the details burned like acid in my throat. The receipt wasn't for me. It listed an emerald necklace, stunningly expensive and utterly foreign. Seth knew me, knew I wasn't the emerald necklace kind of woman. I preferred simple jewelry, meaningful trinkets over lavish displays. My stomach churned as dread pooled in my veins. The necklace, the late nights, the secrecy, it didn't add up. I confronted him that evening, hoping, praying, I'd misinterpreted. Seth's denial was instant. That? It was for a client. A thank you gift for landing the museum redesign project. His tone was clipped, defensive, as though my suspicions were ridiculous. But his eyes betrayed him. There was a flicker, a brief, almost imperceptible flinch as his gaze darted away from mine. I recognized it immediately. It was the look of guilt. And for the first time in our relationship, I realized I didn't trust him. Hash 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 chapter 3, Unraveling the Lie. I couldn't sleep after that. My mind churned with a chaotic blend of rage, despair, and doubt. Seth had given me plenty of reasons to trust him over the years. But now, every memory felt tainted. Was everything a lie? Were those romantic vacations, heartfelt confessions, and whispered dreams for our future fabricated just to manipulate me? The receipt had planted a seed of doubt I couldn't ignore. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I started digging. I spent hours scrolling through his social media accounts, searching for clues, photos, comments, anything that suggested infidelity. I sifted through emails when he left his laptop unattended. But he was careful, too careful. That alone spoke volumes. It wasn't until I accessed our shared cell phone plan and combed through his call and text history that I found her. Her name was Vanessa, and she wasn't just a random fling. She was his coworker, a junior designer at his firm. The call logs painted an undeniable picture. Lengthy conversations during workdays, late-night texts that stretched well past midnight, and frequent exchanges on weekends when I thought he was at the office catching up on deadlines. My chest ached as the truth settled in. Seth wasn't just cheating. He was lying to me every single day, erasing the life we'd built together piece by piece. And for what? Her? I stared at Vanessa's name on the screen, my hands trembling. This wasn't the Seth I knew. Or at least, the version of Seth I'd spent years believing in. For hours, I sat motionless, the weight of betrayal pressing down like a vice. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront him again. Not yet. No. I needed proof. Concrete proof. And I'd get it. Chapter 4, Gathering Ammunition. The first thing I did was contact a friend from college who now worked as a private investigator. Jamie was sharp, discreet, and relentless when it came to uncovering secrets. I explained everything. Seth's behavior, the necklace, Vanessa, and begged her to dig deeper. Jamie agreed, her tone sympathetic but professional. It'll take time, she warned. These things usually do. But if he's cheating, we'll find out. Meanwhile, I played the role of the oblivious girlfriend, biting back my fury every time Seth came home late or stole glances at his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. I feigned indifference when he kissed me goodnight, pretending the touch didn't make my skin crawl. The days blurred into weeks, each one heavier than the last. Jamie's first update came after 2 weeks. Seth had met Vanessa at a hotel downtown. Not once, but 3 times. Jamie had photos. Him, arm draped over her shoulder, lips brushing against her ear as they entered the lobby. My stomach wrenched as I stared at the images, bile rising in my throat. It was one thing to suspect. It was another to see it. But that wasn't the worst of it. Jamie discovered that Seth had funneled money from his firm's budget to fund his affair. Expensive dinners, hotel stays, gifts, and more. He'd labeled the transactions as client expenses, masking the deceit beneath layers of corporate jargon. It was bold, reckless, and deeply unethical. I sat in stunned silence as Jamie laid out the evidence. Receipts, emails, surveillance footage. This wasn't just a betrayal of me. Seth's actions could destroy his career if exposed. And that's when the idea struck me. I wouldn't just confront Seth. I would ruin him. Chapter 5, The Plan. It took weeks to orchestrate. I spent hours collecting every shred of evidence Jamie had uncovered, cataloging it meticulously. Photos, texts, financial records. It was all there, neatly organized and ready to be deployed. My heart pounded as I envisioned the fallout. Seth's humiliation, Vanessa's disgrace, the collapse of their illicit fantasy. But I couldn't stop there. Seth's company, the firm he'd dedicated years to, deserved to know the truth. After all, he wasn't just cheating on me. He was stealing from them, violating their trust and tarnishing their reputation. So, I drafted an anonymous email to his boss, attaching the incriminating files with a brief but damning explanation. Your lead architect, Seth, has been misusing company funds to pursue an affair with a junior designer named Vanessa. Evidence attached. Concerned citizen. I hit send. Chapter 6, The Fallout. It didn't take long for the chaos to unfold. Within hours, Seth's boss, a stern but fair man named Richard, called an emergency meeting. The firm was small, with fewer than 30 employees, which meant whispers spread like wildfire. By the time Seth returned home that evening, his face was a storm cloud of rage and panic. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded, slamming the door behind him. I stood calmly in the kitchen, sipping tea as though nothing was amiss. "What do you mean?" Quote, Seth's voice rose. "Someone sent an email to the firm, anonymously, accusing me of fraud. They said I'm stealing company money to—" He hesitated, his face twisting in anguish. "To fund an affair. Do you have any idea how insane that sounds?" Quote, I set my tea down, meeting his eyes with unwavering resolve. "Insane? No, Seth. What's insane is the fact that it's true." His expression crumbled. "What are you talking about?" Quote, "I know about Vanessa," I said evenly, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. "I know about the necklace, the hotel stays, the dinners. I know you've been stealing from your firm, lying to your boss, your coworkers, me. I know because I made sure to find out." For a moment, he was silent. Then, a hollow laugh escaped his lips. "You're bluffing." I reached for a folder on the counter, the one containing every piece of damning evidence, and tossed it onto the table. "Am I?" "Go ahead. Look." Seth's hands trembled as he opened the folder, his eyes scanning the contents with growing horror. The color drained from his face. You did this?" Quote, "I did what you forced me to do. Seth. You destroyed our relationship, our trust, and now you're facing the consequences." His voice cracked as desperation seeped in. "You don't understand what this could do to me. My reputation, my career. It's all on the line." I stepped closer, my gaze sharp as a blade. "You should have thought of that before you lied, before you cheated, before you stole. Chapter 7. Justice Served. The fallout was swift and brutal. Seth's firm launched a formal investigation, uncovering even more discrepancies in his financial records. Richard fired him on the spot, and Vanessa, perhaps sensing the sinking ship, quit before she could face disciplinary action. News of the scandal spread throughout the local architectural community, blacklisting Seth from future opportunities. As for our relationship, there was nothing left to salvage. I packed my belongings and moved out within days, leaving him to stew in the ruins of his own making. The heartbreak was immense, but so was the relief. For the first time in months, I felt free, unburdened by lies and betrayal. And Seth? Well, karma isn't kind. Stripped of his career and reputation, he'd become a pariah, forced to confront the consequences of his actions. Vanessa abandoned him shortly after the scandal broke, leaving him alone in the wreckage. Epilogue. It's been 6 months since that fateful day. I've started over. New apartment, new job, new life. The pain lingers, but it no longer controls me. I've learned to reclaim my sense of self, finding strength in the knowledge that justice was served. Seth tried reaching out once, sending a pathetic apology via email. I didn't respond. There was nothing he could say that would fix what he'd broken. And I refused to give him the satisfaction of forgiveness. Because some betrayals deserve consequences. Some lies demand reckoning. And sometimes, revenge isn't just petty, it's justice. Epilogue expanded. The truth settles in. The first night in my new apartment was both liberating and unsettling. Everything was still too quiet, too unfamiliar. My boxes were stacked haphazardly in the corner of the living room. A few stray books and trinkets peeking out as if they, too, weren't sure where they belonged. The space smelled faintly of fresh paint and lemon, an attempt to erase the remnants of the previous tenant. The walls were bright white, blank and clean as if presenting me a new canvas to start over. Yet, as I sat on the worn gray couch I'd snagged from a thrift shop, the silence pressed against me like a weight. It was only then, in the stillness of the night, that the full weight of everything I'd been through crashed down on me. I stared at the lone window in the living room, watching the city lights glint distantly and listening to the faint hum of a train passing in the distance. I had never wanted this. The revenge. The destruction. It wasn't who I was. Before Seth, I'd prided myself on being kind, thoughtful, and generous. Qualities that felt alien in the woman who'd orchestrated his professional and personal annihilation. But then I remembered the photographs of him and Vanessa, their laughter frozen in time as they entered that hotel. I remembered the receipt for the necklace he'd bought her, the lies he'd fed me night after night, the humiliation of knowing I'd been blindsided while he lived out a fantasy. That memory hit me with the force of a storm, and I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms until they stung. I had been a fool. And fools don't win. They learn. They adapt. They survive. I wasn't the same Harper Drew anymore. And perhaps that was a blessing. ###. A visit from Jamie. A week after the fallout, Jamie stopped by my apartment. She arrived carrying takeout bags from my favorite Thai place, her face glowing with satisfaction. Jamie was sharp and confident, her short auburn hair tucked neatly behind her ears and her smile quick, like someone who always had a plan. It was the first time I'd seen her since everything had gone down. "Thought you might need some pad thai and a good laugh," Jamie said, dropping the bags onto my coffee table before plopping down beside me. She kicked off her boots without hesitation and stretched her legs across the couch like she belonged there. I chuckled, appreciating her casual warmth. "You are officially my favorite person. Seriously. You saved me, Jamie. I don't think I could have dealt with this without you." She shrugged, her grin widening. "Don't give me all the credit. Your instincts were dead on. You knew something was wrong. And you didn't let him gaslight you into thinking you were crazy. That takes guts, Harper." I sighed, leaning back against the couch and pulling my knees to my chest. I don't know if it was guts or desperation. Honestly, I felt like I was drowning. Taking him down felt like my only way to survive. Jamie paused, her expression softening. "You didn't just survive. You thrived. Look at you. You took charge of your life. You refused to let him walk all over you. And now he's the one dealing with the fallout." She snatched a spring roll from the bag and bit into it with gusto. "Honestly, though, the firm didn't just fire him. They're pursuing criminal charges. Did you hear about that?" Quote. My head jerked up. "What?" Quote. Jamie nodded, her eyes twinkling with mischief. "Fraud. Embezzlement. Apparently. Richard brought in a legal team and uncovered more discrepancies in Seth's records. He wasn't just stealing to fund his affair. He's been skimming money for years. Small amounts here and there. But once it was exposed, it piled up big time." The news hit me like a lightning bolt, electrifying me with both shock and vindication. Seth hadn't just betrayed me. He'd betrayed his company, his colleagues, everyone who'd trusted him. "So he's really done, huh?" I asked, almost breathless. Jamie leaned back smugly, crossing her arms. "Oh, he's done. He's facing criminal charges, Harper. Not a slap on the wrist. Years in prison if this goes to trial. Vanessa's name is tied to it, too. She's being investigated for collusion since she benefited directly from the money he stole." I stared at her, my pulse hammering with disbelief. Prison. It was an outcome I hadn't dared anticipate. Yet now that Jamie had confirmed it, I felt a dark satisfaction bubbling to the surface. Seth had both ruined me and underestimated my capacity to fight back. Now he was paying a price far greater than I'd ever imagined. ###. A close encounter. A few weeks later, I saw Seth for the first time since I'd left him. I'd been out grocery shopping. wandering the aisles aimlessly as I tried to figure out what starting over tasted like. Bananas? Frozen pizza? A kale salad? None of the options seemed to fit. Then I spotted him, standing in front of the canned goods section. It was surreal seeing him outside of the apartment we used to share. Outside of the life we'd built together. He looked different. He wasn't the confident, charismatic man I'd fallen for years ago. Instead, his shoulders sagged under the weight of the world, his clothes rumpled, and his face pale and hollow. He didn't see me at first. His attention focused on a can of soup he'd plucked from the shelf. For a fleeting moment, I hesitated. Should I confront him? Was it worth dredging up the past? Was revenge truly satisfying, or did it just leave behind emptiness? But then he turned and spotted me. His eyes widened, and for just a second, I saw something that almost resembled remorse. Almost he opened his mouth as though to say something, but I raised a hand to stop him. "Don't," I said, my voice calm but firm. "There's nothing you could say that would make me forgive you." Seth's shoulders slumped further, his face crumpling like paper. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "For everything." "That's not enough, Seth," I replied softly. "It never will be." He winced, but I didn't linger. I turned and walked away, my heart feeling lighter with every step I took toward the exit. Healing and moving forward. In the months that followed, life slowly returned to normal. Or rather, a new normal. I focused on rebuilding the pieces Seth had shattered. I threw myself into work at my marketing firm, earning a promotion that came with a corner office and a renewed sense of purpose. I rekindled friendships I'd neglected during my relationship, realizing how much I'd missed the laughter and support of people who truly cared about me. Therapy became a weekly ritual, helping me untangle the mess of emotions Seth had left behind. The anger, the grief, the humiliation, they were all still there, but each session chipped away at their hold on me. My therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Patel, reminded me that healing wasn't linear, and that forgiveness wasn't something I owed anyone but myself. "You don't have to forget what he did," Dr. Patel said during one session, her voice soothing and steady. "But you can choose not to let it define you. What happened to you doesn't have to dictate who you are." Her words resonated deeply. I wasn't just a woman scorned, a victim of betrayal. I was Harper Drew, and I was stronger than Seth ever imagined. Revenge isn't always sweet, but justice is. Seth's trial came and went, covered briefly in the local news. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison for fraud and embezzlement. His name forever tarnished among architects and designers. Vanessa, though spared prison time, had her career irreparably damaged. She'd fled the city shortly after the scandal broke, her reputation in shambles. I didn't follow the details obsessively. I refused to let their downfall consume me. But knowing they'd been held accountable for their actions gave me closure I hadn't expected. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice. And justice had been served. As I stood on my balcony one evening, staring at the city skyline, I let myself breathe. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of rain over the rooftops. For the first time in months, I felt the tension in my chest ease, replaced by a quiet, resolute peace. I'd made it through the storm, and though I didn't know exactly where life would take me next, I knew one thing for certain. I would never lose myself again. Not for anyone. Not ever. Word count. 2264.